Bitches and faggots, what the fuck's going on? It's Jason Van Jason back for episode 6 of Bitch Faggot Radio. Welcome back. Welcome. This is your first time listening. I would suggest maybe you go back to episode number 1, as I often carry on and discuss and kind of go through topics that I already have beaten to death. So if you want to listen to me beat those topics to death, then you should go back to episode number 1. I've finally got this up on my blog. This is the first episode that I am doing where I actually have this up on my blog, and I know where it's going to be. So if you would like to find me on YouTube, you can find me at jvj space bf space radio, I believe is the channel name. If you'd like to send me an email, you can do so at jvjradio@protonmail.com. Or if you just want to find my blog, you can go to my Amazon Author Central page, which is Jason Van Jason, and there will be several little windows where you can see my blog, and you can click on said window and get straight to my blog from there. If you'd like to purchase any of my products, they are also on my Amazon Author Central page. Nothing special, just some little blurbs I've written, 99 cents each. And yeah, we're kind of having a slow day today. I've been working the past couple days. I haven't been doing too much author-wise. Been writing a little bit here and there, but things have slowed down a bit. It's 4 p.m. on a Wednesday right now. I just had a nap in the park here. About a 20-minute nap. I was getting ready to do the show, and I kind of leaned my seat back, and next thing you know, it's 20 minutes later. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I still must be a little tired today, I guess, eh? Anyways, I got my coffee here. It's fucking cold by now, though. But on a hot day like this, that's okay. You know, the winters here I guess before I get into it, did I get everything else I need? I got that at the YouTube page. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason Van Jason. If you do a Google search, and if you do a Google search of Jason Van Jason, you'll find that some other names come up other than Jason Van Jason, and that's because Google, I believe, only uses the search terms once. So when you type in Jason Van Jason, it's actually just looking for Jason Van. And so a bunch of these other Jason Van people pop up in the Google search. So you need to, if you're a true fan of the show, you know, episode 6 now, I gotta be getting some sort of person that listens to this. If you're listening to this and you ever Google my name, you gotta make sure and pay those guys some traffic, those Jason Van guys, other than me. You gotta tell each and every one of those guys that they're fucking homos, and that they're, let's really apply the label here. They're homo, dick sucker, cunt, nigger, faggots. Bitch faggots. Faggots, bitch faggots, and bitches, and I don't know. Whatever other insult you could come up with that I'm lacking right now because I'm a little bit foggy. Make sure and apply that label to those people, and make sure those people know that they're doomed to die in hell, and doomed to die in a hole in this life, and in the next life, and the life before this one. Just like the rest of us, only theirs is going to be slightly more disturbing than every other death ever. Hopefully. Hopefully. We can only hope, right? Anyways, so as I said, my weekend was a little bit slow. I can't remember the last show I did here. I've posted, I think I've posted 3 shows right now to my blog, because I did 2 on Monday. I did 1 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday. So yeah, I guess that would only make sense. Although those shows have backtracked. Those shows are from like last Friday and stuff. So I'm a little bit behind. the timeline is a little bit skewed, but I don't think you guys fucking care. I know I don't. So I don't even know why the fuck I'm talking about it. If I cared enough to have the timeline right, I fucking would, I guess, right? Here I am making fucking excuses. Oh, well, fuck. Just shut the fuck up, guy, right? Anyways, so yeah, things have been alright. I went and hung out with my friend Steve and Crystal for a little bit. Chill with them. Got to see what they're up to. Haven't seen them in about 2 months, so got to sit down with them for a little bit. You know, shoot the shit. They're doing pretty good, and I was happy to see them. I enjoy those people. I enjoy hanging out with lots of people, but, you know, there's certain people that you go way back with. Like, I've gone way back with those two since, like, good Lord, like, at least 7 or 8 years now, right? So, it's been a long time. Maybe more like 5 or 6, actually, but, yeah. Who's counting? And yeah, so my work, I did work this weekend. That was alright. Put in a shift with Buddy there. I can't talk too much about it because I'm under a oath of confidentiality, so I can't really talk too much about that whole situation. But I did enjoy it. There is a privacy agreement in place because the individual is like mentally disabled, right? Just like everyone else I work with. But yeah, there's confidentiality agreements in place to protect that individual. So I certainly can't be talking about it on a show like this. That's fucking ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculously unprofessional. But and I'm a very professional being, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about quickly. Was just this. Not this idea of the double life, but this idea of acting differently in different places. Like, for example, I don't talk this way at work. You know what I mean? I don't show up at work. Fuck this, fuck that, cunt, nigger, bitch, faggot. I don't do that. I'm supposed to be a role model for these people who have disabilities. I'm supposed to lead by example, right? So you can't do that when you're acting like a fucking moron. But luckily, I finally have an outlet to act like a fucking moron other than my blog. And it's just singing. I like it. I already looked at a comment I got on the first video that I posted on YouTube. Some guy posted amazing vid. I don't know if that's the correct context of words, but or correct words in general, but you know, what people who listen to this have to understand is that this might be amazing, but if no one listens to it, then it's really nothing. And so, you know, it's really the people that make it what it is, if it ever would be something, right? Like, yeah, because if no one listens to this ever, then it has no chance to be anything other than not listened to, right? So, yeah, don't thank me. In fact, I thank you for taking the time to listen. If you have, in fact, taken the time to listen, and if you haven't, fuck you. But, no, I'm fucking with you. That's a funny thing, though. But thank you to that person who initially made that comment. I haven't gotten any emails yet. I don't suspect I will for some time. But if you have any emails that you'd like me to actually bring up on the show, you can email me, like I said, at jvjradio. That's jvjradio at protonmail, protonmail.com. And I probably won't email you back, but I'll address your question on the show directly, and then that way I can kind of have something else to talk about, or kind of have some other ideas. And you don't have to mail anything positive. You don't have to mail anything negative. Just mail your thoughts, whatever. If it's a positive thing, great. If it's a negative thing, great. You know, the whole purpose is communication and nothing else. So, you know, there's no, people like to think that there's this type of communication that exists, you know, whether it be positive communication or negative communication, or, you know, a great example of communication that always, whenever I think of communication, I always think of this. And it's funny. My buddy, me and him go way back, all the way to like junior high and high school. We'll call him B. B and his family. Yeah, his mom and his brother. He used to live with them, and it was funny because they didn't know how to communicate other than when they were arguing. So, like, the way I'm talking right now, you're catching my tone. You're catching my, you're catching the way I'm saying something. You're catching my kind of calmness, my kind of just chillaxness. This is how I communicate to people, right? B and his family, the only way that they communicated information, like vital information, was by screaming and yelling at each other. And it is the weirdest thing that I have ever saw in my whole fucking life. And it's funny because when you meet people, as I talked about kind of the double life thing, as you meet people, the double life thing comes through time and time again, where somebody will act. It's not even really a double life thing. It's more of just the way you act around some people. And how you act changes around other people, right? And so when B wasn't around his family, he was a super cool dude to be around. And then the second he was around his family and he had something to say to you, he didn't know how to communicate that calmly. And so he'd try and start an argument with me over retarded shit. Like, retarded shit. Like, when me and B were living together and his brother moved in, one day he found his dish rag outside the bathtub. I don't know why, but B starts running around the apartment asking me and his brother, "Yo, who left my dish rag by the bathtub?" I was just like, I don't fucking know. It's your fucking dish rag. You figure it out. But I thought he was fucking with me, right? And so he just fucking blows his top at me, which is something that doesn't ever happen, right? The communication between me and B is usually very calm, just like I'm doing right now. But he is fucking livid over this dish rag. Fucking livid. Like, I couldn't believe how mad he was. And it wasn't even that he was mad. It was that was how he communicated with his family. Him and his family didn't have the capacity to communicate the way I'm communicating right now. The only way they could do it is by screaming and yelling at each other. And it's funny because when I was younger, I thought that would be the only instance that I would ever see of that ever. But as I've gotten to really know people, I find that this type of communication becomes very, very, very popular for some reason. I don't fucking get it. Like, these people just fucking scream and yell at each other. And that's how they communicate information back and forth. I can't even, it's just crazy. Like, for example, if B's mom had something to say to B or his brother, she would kind of, you know, start the conversation calmly. And then one of the two would either snap at her, and then she'd snap back, and then they'd snap back, and then it'd just be a snapping back and forth until whatever information that she wanted to relay was relayed, and then she'd be, okay, fine, whatever, and just walk away once she relayed that information. But for them to have a normal, civilized communication and an exchange of information was just not possible without yelling and arguing and belittling and just constantly going at each other. And I don't know why, but I've never seen two dudes do that. other than B and his brother, Jay, we'll call him. B and his brother Jay will do that constantly now. And that's something that their mom kind of invoked into them, I guess. And bless her, she's passed on, rest her soul. And bless her heart, she was an amazing woman. But she put up with a lot of bullshit. And I don't blame her for, being that way. I don't blame anyone for being any way. But that was just how they communicated for information. And even like couples that I know, they do the same thing. But it's strange because, as I was saying, B and J are the only two men that I know that do that. Any other people that I know that do that, there's always a woman involved for some reason. So I don't know if this screaming and yelling is just how women communicate with each other. I don't know if it's like this high output of energy that they have. I don't know. I don't understand it. It's a very weird thing. Maybe other women, could comment on that through email or whatever, but it's just like I've never seen two men argue like that, like that, except for obviously B and J, like I was talking about. But every other time, there's always a woman involved, and so I don't know if the woman begins the snapping. I don't know if the woman begins that, or I don't know why men and women argue like that. I guess because maybe they can't communicate with each other without forcibly screaming and yelling, but just having a conversation like this for some reason just can't happen. Maybe there's too much ego involved. Maybe there's just too much personal shit involved. I don't know. But having a sensible conversation, it's almost like it's been taken off the table. It's almost like, as I was saying before, it's almost like some women just want to be argued with. That's just the be-all, end-all. It's just they want to be argued with, period. They want to be told they're wrong. They want to show you that they're right and you're wrong. If there's some kind of disagreement. There's no, especially with women, there's no, like, we're gonna agree to disagree. It's, well, this is my view, and if you don't have that view, then fuck you and you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like... And then it's real interesting. Okay, it gets real interesting when you have that idea and then you watch a show like The View. Now, a lot of people would not strike me as someone who watches The View. And I really don't watch The View that much, but I do watch it just to see, because I've always wondered, how do women communicate with each other? And when you watch that show, it becomes so apparent that women lack severe communication skills. That there's been an impairment of communication skills, where if a woman is in a room full of men, the second she speaks, every man shuts the fuck up. It's like, oh shit, the woman's talking, we gotta shut the fuck up now, and when the men don't shut the fuck up, the women just look at him with disdain, like, oh my god, this guy's just gonna keep talking when I'm trying to talk. She's just staring at him like, oh, this guy needs to shut the fuck up. But the second a man's talking, the woman just blows up like, oh, hold on, I got a point to make. Hold on. Hold your fucking horses here, bud. Whereas, if a man did the same thing and just cut a woman off like that, she'd be like, oh, where's your sense of chivalry? Fuck. But, yeah, so I watch The View sometimes, and I watch these women try and talk over each other, try and have power trips on each other, try and have, like the type of communication I was talking about where two women just can't agree to disagree unless they're just faced with this overwhelming point of, if you don't agree or disagree, you're just stupid, period. Which comes up actually a lot. There's a lot of, and I'm not saying I'm fucking super smart or nothing. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm a bigger idiot than anyone on that show, right? But it's just funny to watch that dynamic play out. To just watch to watch six people who think they have the right to talk first suddenly have to take turns and figure out who's talking next and who's... Because it's so funny, when someone makes a good point, they all start talking at once. Every single fucking time. And none of them ever learn how to properly communicate. It's ridiculous. It's like they literally all begin talking at once, and there's like this 5 second window when someone makes a good point where you can't hear anything being said because all six, all five, all four of those women are just talking all at once, and it's fucking hilarious. I don't know why, but it's just that 5 second window is the difference between being in a room full of men and a room full of women, because men know when it's their time to talk. You know, and some men just don't talk at all. To those men, I say, you know, it's good to talk sometimes, but overall, you're doing pretty good with that. Because for as many men as I know that are pretty silent about stuff, I also know men that are not silent about anything. And those men are losing more battles than they can win. They're winning, but they're losing too. And yeah, so it's just funny to watch that happen. Fucking hilarious. And to watch them each kind of figure out their place and where they're going to talk next. And usually what happens is they're all thinking the same thing, but they're all trying to say that thing. And so they're all kind of verbally arguing with each other over who's going to say that thing. And then once somebody says that thing, they all go, oh, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. And that's what everyone agrees on, which is probably not what they're all agreeing on. They just realize that this person had the chance to talk first. They don't want to, oh, you got to speak first, so I'm just going to agree with you, you know? Which sounds like a very stupid concept. That sounds like, how could you think that? But when you watch that show play out, it's just the strangest thing socially. Just the weirdest thing. And especially their body language, because that's an interesting conversation. When you hear the words coming out, that's one thing. But when you watch like a show like The View, where it's just usually women, and you watch their body language... Ooh, that was a fart. You watch their body language. You watch their fucking... Yes, I'm one of these fucking simpletons that laughs at their own farts sometimes, okay? Like a fucking dog chasing around my fart wondering what the fuck it is. Anyways. Yeah, so the interesting communication really is not the words on The View, but the body language. The body language of those women is so interesting on The View. If you ever want to study body language, begin by watching how people talk. And you know, you can get into like micro expressions and stuff, but that is way, way, way advanced. That's more advanced than you need to be looking into to figure out what someone's thinking. That's a little bit much. That's more for like conclusive evidence on if somebody's lying or not, you know, and also what emotion they're feeling, but you don't need to be going in, especially if you're a beginner. Watching body language is important, and you can watch videos online of how to read body language, but I never did. I have a lot of experience being around whacked out people. I have a lot of experience watching just being fucked up on drugs and watching people fucked up on drugs and I have a lot of experience watching people angry, watching people sad, watching people happy, and I know the mannerisms of these people from observing. That's what I've done most of my life. Most of my life, I've just been an observer. So that's why I know how to read body language really well. And not just that, but obviously I've worked in the field with people who I have to apply that with. I have to figure out if this person's happy or sad or angry just based off their body language, because the truth is that when you try and peg someone's emotions down, they're going to not tell you the truth. That's why this art, I call it an art. It really is an art. of reading people exists in the first place. Is because people lie about what they're feeling constantly. It's too invasive to know what another human being is feeling, I feel like. That's why I don't read people all the time. It's very invasive. Because, like, people don't understand. Even most regular people, they don't have a clue of how much information you can derive just from body language. Like, like you have to understand that when you speak with someone, there is more than one conversation going on. And that's kind of a funny thing to say, but it's very true. When you speak with someone, there is 2 to 3 even maybe 4 conversations going on at once, depending on the person you talk to. For me, I say there's 2 conversations going on at once, and I'm not going to get into any other bullshit other than you could get into a lot of bullshit when you talk about this. But I'm just going to get into the stuff that's semi-conclusive, which is obviously verbal and not so obvious physical. The physical conversation that goes on is not indicative of the verbal conversation going on. So these 2 conversations are not related to each other at all. It is up to the human mind to relate these 2 conversations together. But these 2 conversations have nothing to do with each other. That's the conversation of body language and word language. And so, what that means is that if I lie to you and my body language suggests I'm not lying to you, or vice versa, you have to... Your mind kind of has to discern what the answer is. And so it's not saying that, the body is giving the true response, which is usually the case. The body is usually giving the truer answer than the words. Because words are used to display intent. Body language is intent. So there's a difference. And I've been doing this for a long time. I've been reading body language for over 20 years of my life, but it's very difficult for me to explain it and to put it into words. But the best I can do is basically say that, these 2 conversations are going on and they're both not saying the same thing. So when you have someone like me who understands the 2 conversations, that's when you have to start giving doubt to body language and start kind of listening to words a little bit more. Because like me, for example, I have super bad anxiety. And so when I'm speaking, often I'll have anxious body language, but there's nothing anxious going on at all. I'm just having social anxiety, right? I'm getting defensive. I'll constantly walk around with my shoulders up, for example. Like I'm on the defensive. That's just the way I am because I'm socially insecure a lot of the time. It's just what it is, But yeah, you could literally pick me out of a crowd by the guy who looks the most uncomfortable, and you'd probably be correct. There's that type of language to discern as well, and so that's kind of the third language, is the anxious body language. And I think I might have told this on the show before, but if not, I'll tell it again quick. Another kind of the third conversation going on is, the body language, and then the mind affecting the body language through things like anxiety and, stuff like that. And so I was at the gym one day, and there is this like supermodel broad there who is like in like tight spandex with like a sports bra on, and like to the men, like, bruh, like fucking this chick is like banging. Like she's like probably like a size 3 waist and like double D fucking boobs, and like she's fit, and she looks like fucking just like something straight out of a movie, like seriously. And the thing that struck me was nobody talks to this chick at all. I was like, why isn't anyone talking to her? So I was kind of, I'm always watching her though, and her body language is totally normal. She had a normal body language. She had a normal until this dude, this Asian dude, this like super built Asian dude who like probably drives like a fucking, I don't know. He just looked like a baller, like he just looked like he stepped off an NBA court. He was fucking like, just super baller dude, and he begins talking to her, and I'm watching how she reacts, and immediately I know why no one's talking to her, because her body language erupts into this like volcano of crazy body language. She is completely normal 1 minute, and then the next minute her hands are flying everywhere. She's pointing at stuff. I can hear her yelling from across the gym 1 minute, and then I can't hear her the next. She's waving her head around. Her hips are moving. Her feet are kind of moving around, and she immediately literally looked like a deer on ice. Like if you would throw a deer on ice and it would just like try and get its footing. That's what she reminded me of immediately. And I was just like, oh, this chick is crazy. Which is, the typical like super good looking blonde broad who's just nuts. And this was her 100%. Not to be rude or nothing, but it was just very obvious that she had no, she was just so anxious. She had no clue what her body was doing, and her body was just doing it literally, like I said, it literally looked like a deer on ice. Like she was just trying to get her footing on ice, and this dude is just standing there, hands at his side, just like staring at her like, what the fuck is this broad's deal? But and that's when I was like, okay, I'm kind of glad I didn't talk to her, because if she would have wheeled me in there, holy fuck, like, you never know what you're getting yourself into, especially with these super good-looking women who don't have boyfriends, and that's kind of fucking scary, And we've exchanged glances every now and then. I felt the need to go up and talk to her many times before, after, like, we've caught eyes, like, 3 or 4 times, but, And apparently, the first time you meet eyes with someone at the gym, you're supposed to go and talk to them. That's like the thing, apparently. But I'm glad I didn't. Glad I didn't get suckered into some crazy bitch's shit. Because let me tell you something. Oh, fuck. But, like I said, there's many different conversations going on at once when you're talking with someone. And that third conversation, the mental health conversation, like I said, me having anxiety, and we just might be having a regular conversation, and all of a sudden you might see my shoulders go up like somebody just shot a fucking shotgun right by my ear. You might see me do that, and that's just anxiety, And that could be seen as, me telling a lie or something or anything like that. That's just my crazy body language. Similar to the chick at the gym, I call her crazy, but I do basically the same thing, just not nearly as bad as her body language. Like, holy fuck, she was bad. I genuinely felt bad for her after that. I was just like, oh wow, like, yeah. But that's how much, that is how much body language can reveal, like, because no normal person would ever have that body language. The body language that really hot woman at the gym displayed, there's no person that would have that body language. Even me, like, and I know that because I have super bad anxiety, but mine isn't that bad. So if you have worse anxiety than me, you got fucking issues, yo. 'Cause I'm like borderline should be on medication, but if your fucking body language is worse than mine, oh boy, you got a fucking problem. I'm not saying that to be rude or nothing. It is what it is, and the thing is, I've learned how to deal with my anxiety a lot, but there's certain things that set it off really bad, and not like bad to the point where I can't function, but bad to the point where my body language starts to become defensive, I'll start to be defensive when I have no reason to be defensive, but I've only taken Ritalin when I was like 12. I think I took it like 5 times, and I was just like, this shit is retarded. This is doing something to me that I don't like. You know, I would always say to my parents and to my teachers, when I take this stuff, I don't feel artistic. I feel autistic, not artistic. You know what I mean? I was an artsy person all my life, and I couldn't draw or anything, and my writing was always good, but I always kind of identified with being an artist, and so when I began taking Ritalin, I just distinctly remember my artistic edge being dulled to a fucking butter knife. It was just like, ugh, it was bad. So I took it like 5 times, and I never took it again. And but that body language and that anxiety and that, you know, it's all conducive of a certain conversation. And as I said, all 2-3 of these conversations, they're not related at all. It's up to us to relate them, you know. And once we begin relating them, that's when the information begins pouring out. When you can make assertions that other person just doesn't want you to make. You know, like when for example, I can tell when someone's lying to me all the time. I'm like a fucking human lie detector. I can fucking tell when you're lying to me all the fucking time. And there's people out there who know the signs of lying and will actually purposely throw a body language out to throw you off. And that's when things get interesting. And that's like I do that sometimes just to see if the person's on the level. And most people aren't, but at the same time, most people I work with are also in tune with body language, and so they're also aware of how body language works and stuff. And so that's when it becomes applicable to kind of throw people off, is when you're talking to someone who is also aware of how body language works and shit. But yeah, I can always tell when someone's lying to me. That's why I don't like... That's why I don't like talking to people to a point, because everyone lies. Like I was going to say lots of people lie, but really everyone lies. And lying to a point is okay. In certain contexts. Like, for example, if I were to lie on this show, I don't feel like that would be okay. Because I'm not... I'm representing myself, but I'm also representing my personal and professional self in a way. And so there's certain things that I have to say on here that are there's certain things that I have to protect, you know, a part of my life, about my life on this show. And so I might have to lie about those things, and that's okay. But for me to lie about certain content of the show, that wouldn't be okay, and that wouldn't feel good. But there's certain lies that have to be told, and those lies are for protection, and those lies are to gain information. You know, the cops can legally lie to you for a reason. You know, lying can be an important tool, but lying can also be a great way to get yourself into a lot of shit. I know some people who have told some lies that, you know, completely destroyed their reputation, which were just stupid fucking lies. Just lies that, why would you ever tell that? Like, you know. And so, I don't think lying is okay all the time, but there's certain contexts, like I said, like a context of perception, or perception, protection, not perception. Protection, where you're protecting information about your life, or you're protecting somebody in your life, where lying is okay. That honestly, that doesn't arise. The need to lie doesn't arise as often as the actual lie itself, though. And that's an interesting inference to make. Lying is indicative of ego a lot. Lying is indicative of intent more than anything. When someone's lying, they're basically lying to hide their real intent to a point. So knowing when someone's lying is actually a lot of information. It's a ton of information. When you know when someone's lying before they're aware that you know, that's a lot of information to have. That's more information than most people want you to have. That's why they're lying. So that's what I mean. Like, the first instance of collecting information from body language is of course seeing through deception and seeing through the lie. When you see through the lie, that's a lot of power and a lot of information you have in your hands right then and there. And the thing is, that person will eventually become aware that you're aware that they're lying. That's going to happen too, because the thing is, and this is the interesting thing about body language, is that people are aware there's a certain way our bodies respond, right? And so if somebody tells a lie and my body language isn't inferring that I buy that lie, that I know that they're lying, their body is eventually going to become conscious to that fact. That I'm not reacting the way someone who is believing the lie would react. And so they begin to get suspicious. And body language begins to become a two-way street. You have to know how to read, but you also have to know how to display. And that's when body language starts getting very, very complicated. That's when the conversation of body language becomes super convoluted. When you are now reading the person's body language, but you also have to display a certain body language to make them think that you're reacting the way someone who is believing a lie would react. That's a difficult thing. And so most people don't even get into that. Most people, when they know that's a lie, they're going to call it out right away. And when they know that's a lie, it's not necessarily that they go in on the person, but they're not going to entertain the fact that they are buying that lie. They're going to let that person know that, you know what, I don't really buy that, yada yada, They kind of give their position up a little bit early, and that's kind of fair in a way, because when you're giving up your position like that, you have to understand that when you're in that position, that's a position of power. Information is power, 100%. People who don't think information is power are not the people wielding it. I'll tell you that right now. Because, information is powerful. And when you have information and other people don't, that goes a long way. A lot longer way than you'd think. You'd think it would only go a small way, but when you talk about the grand scheme of a conversation, when you have information that person doesn't think you have, and you begin asking questions about that thing, then you can infer intent based on how they're trying to lie. And this, as soon as I introduced how you have to display body language as well as read it, that's when this gets way too complicated. And most people don't even do that. Most people won't go into that far. Like I said, most people won't try and display a certain body language. They'll just outright call bullshit. And you can do that too to get the shock factor, to see how that person reacts as well. But, yeah. So like I said, there's many conversations going on. And if you want to watch the craziest of the crazy conversations, go watch like a panel show like The View, or I can't really think of another one, but The View is a great one. The View is great because women are unique in that they almost have no need to filter their words as women. They have a privilege where they can kind of talk the way they want to talk. And so there's absolutely no need for them to put a filter on their body language. Whereas with men, there's a definitive need. Like, for example, if I'm talking with a woman and I squeeze my fist into a ball, like I'm going to hit somebody, that becomes almost intent in a way, right? But if a woman does the same thing, it's not really looked at the same way, At least by regular people, it's not. That's why watching a room full of women talk is so interesting, because they have no need to censor their body language. And so, you'll constantly see one woman give up, kind of saying like, okay, I agree, but her fist will just be squeezed in like she's ready to hit somebody. That just tells you, okay, she's not willing to agree. She's just kind of giving it up, And you see that all the time. You see that conversation happen all the time. Not the verbal one, the physical conversation. You watch that happen. And it's funny. It's funny that women don't have a need to censor their body language like men do, and they don't understand that puts them at a disadvantage when it comes to conversation. That even though you have an advantage in that you can say whatever you want, you have to understand that saying whatever you want and being used to saying whatever you want, that comes with a price, and that price is the lack of censoring of the body language. It's kind of funny. A lot of women would say, well, why do I need to censor my body language? And I would say when speaking to other women, especially women who can pick up on that body language and use it against you, that's when, because if you, like I said, that's a lot of power. When you know how someone actually feels and you can call them out on that, that's a lot of power. That's way more than any one person should have. But, yeah, you're at a total disadvantage when you're dealing with someone like that. And not all the time, because you can get through that advantage and stuff and make it a level playing field. But over time, that's going to be a big factor. And especially when there's nerves involved, like if you fucking murdered someone or something and the cops are interrogating you, that's a different story entirely. That's an interesting one too. I like watching those shows where the cops will be interrogating the person, and they're looking to shake the person up by letting them know that they have information that person didn't think they had, and then all of a sudden the whole as soon as the cops say, okay, well, we know about what you did and we know about this, and then the person just comes clean, that's when information is power. That's when when you can make someone come clean after all they've done is lie, that's power. That is fucking power. And that's the power of information. Information is information is spent billions on to collect every year. Billions, trillions, over trillions probably. When you think about the grand scheme of the world, over trillions spent on collecting information. Information is vital to anything. Information is vital to any movement at all, of any apparatus, of anything at all. Information is vital. Information is what you want first. Yeah, so collecting that information through body language, if you know how to do that and that other person doesn't, it's like you're speaking to a handicapped person, like actually. Especially when they start lying to you and thinking they're smarter than you, which happens a lot too. And that doesn't happen a lot because the person thinks they're smarter. It happens a lot because you allow that person to believe they are smarter. That's the other thing that you do, is you allow that person to dig their own fucking grave. And that's another fucked up one that people will do left unchecked, A great example. And this is kind of a little bit immature, but this is a great example. My buddy one time, I was on the phone with my homie, and I had the phone on speaker at my side. And, it was in the cradle, and it was in the cradle of my car, and so the car speakerphone was on. I say it was at my side. Forget that. Never mind. Never mind. It was on the cradle, and homie walks in, and he doesn't realize that my buddy's on speakerphone through my car. And so we're sitting there, we're having a conversation, and buddy starts talking shit about the guy on the phone. And I was kind of like, I didn't know what to think at the time, so rather than saying, oh, hey, he's on the phone, I just let the guy talk. And that guy talked for a good 3 or 4 minutes about that guy, and he sat there and listened to everything. And I hung up the phone before Buddy had a chance to say anything else. And that was just one of those times where it was just watching someone dig their own grave type deal. These two had a thing going on, like a money thing where one of them owed the money and the other was waiting on the money for a while now, and so when that came out, that caused the one individual to blow up at the other one, and it caused a huge thing, and I got in the middle of it, and it was bad, but I never meant to do that either, it just kind of happened. But at the same time, should I have to say to someone, oh, hey, someone's on speakerphone, or should you just shut your fucking mouth? like, but that's what happens when you kind of when you don't put a limit on something. When you don't put that limit and say, hey, I'm with so-and-so on speakerphone, And you think you can trust this person, and all of a sudden they pull out the shovel and start fucking digging. Digging their own grave like that. It's like, fuck. And I didn't envision you as someone who would be carrying a shovel like that, but you find after a while everyone's carrying some type of shovel. And some people get to digging, most don't, but when some get to digging, they can be real stubborn about it. And my buddy was one of them. That's so funny, though. And another way that you can do that is just through knowing how to read body language and that other person having no idea that they're being read. It's almost invasive. It is invasive to do that. It is kind of fucked up to do that. It is like, yeah, it is invasive at times. And I don't know how hard it is to acquire those skills, because I did it over a long time, and I've just kind of become natural at it. And there's still some things that I don't know. I'm not some fucking master at it, don't get me wrong. The reason I'm good at it is because I've applied it. Whereas other people will watch videos, they'll only apply 5% of what they watch. I have applied a lot more of it, because I've been working in the field of mental disabilities for over 10 years now. And I say I've been applying that knowledge for 20 years, because I was watching my brother have fucked up body language ever since I was, 5. And always wondering what the hell was wrong with my brother, until my parents explained to me when I was, 8, that he was mentally disabled. And, that's when I first began to understand that my brother was not like everyone else. And I understood long before that, though, because of his body language. His body language is much more louder than everyone else's. You notice how I say his body language is louder. That's a term that people kind of use. Like, you have loud body language. Your body language is kind of all over the place. Your body language, and basically when we say loud, what we mean is that your body language is in tune with your words. So if you're angry, your body language is angry. or if you're happy, your body language is happy. Because some people, when they're happy, their body language might be sad. Or when they're angry, their body language might be happy. Or when they are happy, their body language might be angry, Or when they're angry, their body language might be angry. We call that loud. We call that when it's very obvious how the person is feeling through their body language and through their words together, we call that loud. That's loud body language. That's they're making no attempt to quell their body language at all. They're making no attempt to silence that at all. They're just being loud with everything. That's my brother was always loud. If he was angry, his body language was fucking angry. If he was happy, his body language was fucking happy. There was no disconnect between the two. They were constant. But he allowed himself to be affected that way by his emotions, and so his body language became extreme. It felt threatening at times. It did. Especially when he was angry, his body language was very threatening. And after a while, you learn what that threatening body language is, and you learn how to deal with it, and you learn that intimidation is a big factor. Some people will try and intimidate you with their body language. Some people will try and get in your face. That's when that's when that's a little bit much. That's a little outside the scope of the conversation of body language when someone gets in your face. That's that's outside of the conversation. But that's taken to another level, and not a level you want to be at with anyone. But and so reading my brother's loud body language for a long time allowed me to pick up on a lot of different things. Like I would hear my brother's voice really angry, and I would just go and watch him. I would just go sit in the same room and just watch him. And he would always wonder why I would come to watch him get angry, or why I would come to watch him whenever he raised his voice. But I wanted to see what he was feeling. Did you catch that? I wanted to see what he was feeling. Because sometimes it wouldn't add up. Sometimes, he would be angry, but his body language was not fully angry. And I could tell that he was hiding something, Yeah, and my brother was very good at hiding things after a while. We call him Sumu Ninja, because he is just the sneakiest little fuck ever sometimes. Well, not little, obviously he's older than me, but he is just a sneaky fuck sometimes. And he'll tell you one thing while he's got another thing going on. And the thing is that he can't ever lie to me, and he knows it. So he just tells me the truth. But to my parents, my parents have no idea how to read body language very well. My dad might, I don't know. I know my mom doesn't. My mom is kind of out to lunch in that area. But my dad is, he knows how to read body language a little bit, I guess. But, he hasn't watched his brother like I have. Or had a brother like I've had, right? So, yeah. But, and that's kind of the, holy fuck, we're almost at an hour already. I guess this is a talk on body language. I don't know what the fuck. But, that body language is a lot of information. If you want to have the upper hand when you're talking to people, learn it. And it takes a long time to, and the sooner you start applying things, the better. So, yeah. And understand that there's people that are very adept at body language and can use body language to throw you off. That's when things start getting interesting. I like that, though. I like a contest of sorts. Anyways, my name is Jason Van Jason. Sorry if I rambled about the same thing for a fucking hour. I hope this isn't just me fucking... I hope there was some good information in here and not just me fucking talking like a fucking moron. Fuck. I thought we were at 20 minutes. I didn't think I've been talking for an hour already. Holy fuck. Anyways, you can find my Twitter at Jason Van Jason. If you'd like to find a link to my blog, you can go to my Amazon Author Central page, Jason Van Jason. Google Jason Van Jason. You see anyone else with the name Jason Van, you let them know they're a homo, cunt, nigger, dick sucker, bitch, faggot. And if you have any questions, you can direct those questions to jvjradio at protonmail.com. I'm not gonna plug the YouTube channel. You can find my blog. You can look at it on there. And you can get to the YouTube channel from the blog. So just go to the fucking blog. And if you don't want to go to the blog, then motherfuck you. Okay? Motherfuck you if you don't want to go to the blog. But yeah. And if you do happen to find the YouTube channel, all the information will be there anyways. So, but yeah. Amazon Author Central, Google Jason Van Jason. You'll find links to my blog there and shit. You'll find everything you need there. And yeah. And I guess today's wisdom will just be simply to understand that intent is not always what it seems. And I've talked about body language a lot today. I've talked about how we can use body language a lot today. So I'm just going to leave you with that. Intent is not always what it seems, but it is what it is. So figure out what intent is and use it, whether it be your intent or anyone's intent. Because some people have very bad intent. You have to understand, there's a lot of people in this world who have very fucked up intent. And the other thing about that world, and the other piece of this wisdom, is that a lot of this world allows that negative intent to exist. There's no laws against bad intent for the most part, unless it's actually carried out. So understand that. Understand that you only get charged for the plan if you enact it. And for every plan that was enacted, there's 20 that aren't. And if you can have knowledge of every single one of those plans being used against you, you definitely want it. So, actually, and to even take that a step further, let me just say, no, I'll save it for next time. We'll save that knowledge for next time. I love all of you. Take care. May God touch your life. May the devil touch your life. May you find a balance between the two, and may that balance bring you closer to where you want to be and who you want to be, and anything that can bring you positivity, negativity. You need to just accept it all and keep moving. Keep it all moving. Okay? I love you all. Take care. Good luck with everything that you're doing. And until next time, this has been episode number 6. Jason Van Jason for Faggot Radio. I'm going to press a stop button. But not before I just say I love you. And I love everything about you. Except, what don't I love about you? You know what? I'll just love you for who you are today, you silly cunt. Okay, bye-bye.